But let me start by saying that, and it's a very trite observation, that creativity and imagination are at the heart of any great advertising campaign. The truly outstanding advertisement is not just one which attracts consumer interest or promotes a product or a service or a lifestyle, but which creates an indelible association in the minds of the viewers with whatever is on offer. We are all familiar with such advertisements, including those which have kept up their messaging over a generation and more. The issue is more than simply arousing a desire to buy. Advertisements need also to be informative and educative. There is no place for untruthful or misleading messages. Consumers tend to believe implicitly in the authenticity of the message and are often led to making decisions involving the spending of a lot of money based on what they see or hear in an advertisement. It is not my case that manufacturers should not be allowed to recommend their product in the most favorable light. But we should guard against half-truths and misleading or factually unsustainable statements. And let me say that this applies to statements made by government in any kind of promotional campaign as much as to advertisements of goods and services. All of them need to demonstrate responsibility. Misleading advertisements give a consumer an incorrect understanding of the product that they are buying and could lead them to make wrong choices. The government is in the process of amending the Consumer Protection Act, and one specific amendment is a mention of unfair trade practices and restrictive trade practices as a cause for filing complaints. I would like to call particular attention to the public health aspects of some of our legislation. The most difficult of these cases involve tobacco. Any advertising of tobacco or tobacco products is prohibited by Indian law today. However, one often sees examples of non-tobacco products being advertised by a promoter who has tobacco interests, using the same logo and indirectly promoting the tobacco products. This is irresponsible behavior. We are also familiar with advertisements promoting the consumption of alcohol disguised as an accessory to a sophisticated lifestyle. In all these cases, the law can only do so much. We need an enlightened citizenry, a socially responsible industry. We also need some commitment from our popular heroes, film stars, cricketers, high-flying TV personalities to disassociate themselves from misleading and socially perverse advertisements. It is clear, therefore, that while regulation by law is important and necessary, self-regulation by the industry is even more important and likely to be more effective in the long run. Of course, this calls for a greater dialogue within industry, such as is happening today, for an appreciation of the notion that the greater common good must be promoted, and for an understanding that the consumer who keeps the industry alive deserves better. The Advertising Standards Council of India is particularly well positioned to take a lead in this matter. Vaguely worded guidelines or well-intentioned advisories are not what are required. Firm commitments are required. This is particularly important in a country like India, where the visual media is hugely important, where newspaper advertisements, hoardings, mobile messages, and TV commercials are possibly the only information the consumer has on any subject. Of course, this requires manufacturers and producers to commit themselves to the higher standards and not to try to compensate for substandard production with over-the-top advertisement. Government will still need to consider an institutional mechanism as we get a large number of complaints and misleading advertisements. But I would say it is a very solid reflection if it was only the law or the fear of the law which enforced good behavior. There is clearly a need for responsible behavior to exist even without the law. Taken together, self-regulation by the industry and institutional redress should cover the range of all potential complaints. But the role of the media is very, very important in that they can control misleading and false advertisements. I am as committed to free speech as anyone else, but one must recognize the responsibility that goes with exercising one's right to free speech. I do hope these and other issues will be discussed today My good wishes for a very successful debate. Thank you.